Hello everyone, welcome back to Abs.
Woohoo!
Anything but sports. Today we have a new co-host,
David Gomez.
and we have a new guest,
Connor Worthy.
Welcome Connor. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Connor, I want you to walk us through, or walk the listeners through, how you know both myself and David, and how you ended up on the podcast today.
Okay, so I'll start with David because I met him first. So we were freshmen at Asbury, and it was during Welcome Week where I saw David, around a little bit of campus, and I was like, oh, that guy looks cool, but he low-key intimidated me just because he had that long hair and he had like these really cool vibes. So I was like, I don't want to mess with that guy. I don't know. He's too cool for me. But one day I didn't have anyone to sit with whenever I went to lunch, and I just sat with David and the people that he was with at his table. And I didn't speak with David that whole time until he started. I don't know if you were singing or I think you were doing the beat, like you were drumming on the table to Eminem's Without Me. You're like da 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 da, and I was like, hey, and I started rapping to it. I just sang along with you, and we were both, yeah, I know, we both just kind of started doing it, and that was how I met David, and we just became friends from that point on, and then with John, with you, John. That was radio production. With actually, David was in that class too,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I met John, and I didn't know anything about John, but
Yeah. Tell us how you thought of me when you first saw me.
No.
I didn't necessarily like John when I first saw him.
And tell us the
don't know.
reason, Connor. Tell me what the reason was.
You were talking with one of my friends. It wasn't David. It was someone else in that class, and I was just like, "Who is that guy?" Like, I don't know what it was. It was just like I don't know how I feel about him. So I just kind of had this negative feeling about you from that point. But until the day that I actually started talking with you, I was like, "Oh, this guy's so cool." I never looked back after that. I don't hate you anymore, man. Just know that.
Well, thank you, Connor.
I feel like those are the best friends that sometimes start like that.
Yeah.
That's
Where it's
true,
like,
yeah.
We hated each other and then
Right.
they love each other.
So, Connor, you have the distinct privilege of being our first guest who currently does not have even a toe dipped into the realm of production or media. However,
Wow.
you have been kind of thoroughly within that realm before. So why don't you take us through your kind of career path, maybe starting from graduating college until now?
So graduating college, right during the pandemic, right as that started, we were sent home, and my home was in Texas. So everyone else stayed up in Kentucky. I think for the most part, everyone stayed up there. And I was just far away from everyone I knew. And for the viewers out there, Texas is not very, very much known for film production, TV production. That's pretty much going to be, LA, Atlanta, a few other cities here and there, but not really in Texas. So I kind of just strayed away from that because I didn't have any outlet to pursue that down here. But I am looking in the future to continue that. I still write. I still do some side things here and there with a couple other guys from Asbury, but yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
But what do you do right now? What's your profession?
I am a real estate agent in Texas.
And when did you get into that?
That was a while ago. That was like maybe 2 years ago is when I officially enrolled in the classes, and I took the class pretty much the latest date I could because I didn't feel like I was ready. I was like, oh, if I take the class, I'm not going to pass the test, and I'm not going to get my license. But I eventually did all that, took the test, and passed it, and then signed with a brokerage a little bit later.
Well, before you were a real estate agent, what were you doing? Because you were working in media before you were doing real estate.
Yes, that's right. I kind of forgot about that. But I was a camera operator on 2 different television stations here in Lubbock. It was first KMAC, And no, it was first KLBK and then it was KMAC. So I switched stations about a month into the job because they wanted me somewhere else. But yeah, it was great, honestly. Yeah, it was really cool. You know, it's similar in a way to live TV in the fact that, like, you know, you're moving the cameras around the set. There's two different cameras, so I wasn't like completely just thrown into it. I kind of knew a thing or two from what we learned at school. So it was good though. I was there for a little over a year, and then I just decided I wanted to do real estate and really pursue that.
And is that 9 to 5?
No, that was weird. So, you know, with news, there's the morning shows and the evening shows, right? So for the most part, I did the evening shows, which were there was a 5 o'clock show and there was a 10 o'clock show, and they're both about an hour long. So I would be there from about 4 to 6 ish, maybe 6:30, and then I'd take a break because they wouldn't let you stay there. You know, they didn't want to pay you for that time that you weren't doing anything, so you had to leave. And then you came back for the 10 o'clock show, and you stayed till about usually like 11:45. It's pretty much, and it was 6 days a week. You only got one day off, but
But then you have the whole morning off.
yeah, exactly. So there was a good amount of freedom with that. You know, the whole morning. I didn't have to start work until 4. So
That's the perfect gig.
see, I started to resent it actually because, you know, you get so used to whenever you're in college and stuff, all the fun stuff happens at night. You know, you're hanging out with your friends, you're going to see movies. You can't really do that when you work in TV, at least when you do the evening shows. So
So here's my question that kind of has to deal with that, Connor. You graduated college with a degree in film production. You moved to Texas because you were sent home due to COVID, and you started working in media. And then a few years down the line, you said, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's go into real estate. So that obviously is a pretty massive switch in career path. So what kind of triggered that? Or like what made you say, was it the resentment that you had from not having your nights? Or was it something a little bit larger maybe that made you want to switch?
it definitely wasn't solely the resentment from the nights. You know, like if I was loving what I was doing at that TV station, you know, if it was everything I wanted, my dream job, nights wouldn't matter to me. You know, it'd be what I'd want to do. So what I really found was that I wasn't able to get to where I wanted when I was working at that station. The money wasn't good enough to stay, and it just wasn't what I wanted to do, and I couldn't. It wasn't like a catapult to becoming a writer, you know, becoming successful in the industry, in the film industry, which is what ultimately I do want to do. A lot of people were kind of confused when I told them that I was going to start in real estate, and it makes sense. You know, it's like I've shown almost no warning signs for that, and I'm just one day like, hey, I'm a realtor now. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like, here's a way where I can work a lot, make good money. You know, if you really work, you have a lot of connections. I can make those connections with a lot of people, but I can also come home, write, you know, work on different projects that, you know, either with my friends, without my friends, whatever. I can try to get in that way, but while also doing something that I've also found to like. You know, I think being a realtor is really, it's different than I thought, but it's definitely rewarding in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like juggling two different things, but the end goal is still film production and to be able to write and direct my own stuff.
Yeah. For me, it's hard to do that because, like, even with the job, I'm basically kind of in the same boat. I wanted and still want to be a creative, but I'm doing leasing. I'm a leasing agent, leasing apartments. And I told myself, oh yeah, I'll go home and ride, and I'll go home and do all that stuff, but I haven't. You know, it's like you get home and you're tired and you don't do it, and then there's just so many other things, and this is your main job right now, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I said I was gonna do it, and I haven't because this is what I'm doing right now. You know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I choose one thing and focus on it. And if it's not something where I'm being crazy creative or media, then I'm not gonna be doing creativity. I don't know what you think about that. Like, have you actually gotten home and written? Have you actually done that? And do you see yourself like ever? If that keeps going, would you see like, oh, I'm gonna now not be a realtor because I like I got enough money from it or something, and then like I'm just
Right.
gonna do because like
Right. No. I wouldn't want to, like, let's say I get my footing really good in real estate. I'm making a good amount of money. I'm also able to write and do all that. And then I have this opportunity to go out and, direct a movie, whatever, write a movie, whatever. I wouldn't juggle real estate at that point, I don't think. I think I would switch gears completely because at the end of the day, it's my dream to be creative, just like what you said, and pursue that. Maybe I'd still keep my license, if one of you guys were like, hey man, I'm looking for a house, but all right, let me help you, I'd still have the opportunity, but it wouldn't be my goal at all.
Something that a lot of people that we've talked to on the podcast have mentioned that sometimes it doesn't really make it into the final cut is when we talk about relationships, they will always mention that film and TV, working in the industry, typically will take away time from forming relationships, whether that's from or with like a family member or maybe a friend or a potential partner. So, Connor, you were dating Courtney when you were working at the news station, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you ever, even though this is like kind of the news station is more of a controlled setting, it's not like you were there 20 hours a day, and your life wasn't completely controlled by it. But did you ever encounter like any rough spots where it was like, bro, I really wish I did not have to work right now, especially because you were working nights? Was that ever an issue that you marched into?
Oh yeah, like that's where a lot of the resentment with that time frame came from, because at that time Courtney was pretty much the only person would spend my free time with. I didn't really hang out with friends or do too much here in Lubbock. So she would be like, hey, my friends are having this get together tonight. You want to come? And I'm like, no, I can't. I have work. Or she'd be like, hey, will you come to this dinner with me and a couple other people? Or she just want to have a date night with me, whatever. But it would take up all of our nights except for that one night a week where we would, and you better believe, man, I was with her that one night a week that I wasn't working. So, but yeah, it definitely hindered that aspect of our relationship a little bit. So that's hard though in film. Like it is going to take up a lot of your time. So I don't know how that's going to go in the future, but
because I know she has several like night shows and stuff. Did you ever miss one of her plays or something?
no, luckily because I was out of KMAC and KOBK at that time. But I would have had to miss a lot of her stuff unless I got off work. But
You may not, but Connor, do you have any advice to people who are trying to balance relationships with working in the media field?
I mean, it's simple advice. So bear with me, but just make an intentional effort and make sure that is known to your partner. Like, hey, at this time where I know I'm going to have this time available, even if it, hey, like I would love to spend that time with my friends, or I'd love to, play video games, watch a movie, do something else. I'm going to spend this time with you. Like try to be intentional with any bit of time that you can with your partner, because I think if they see that and they know that you're making that time, I think that'll help a lot. Because what people mostly want, I think, at least in my case, is they want, effort. They want to be shown that, hey, like this person's trying for me.
Yeah. How did you show intentional effort while you were working at the news station?
I didn't. Not
I mean, that can be true, and you can. Hey, we make mistakes, and that can be. I've had parts in my relationship that's now 5 years where I dropped the ball and was not loving her for 2 months or something. Like
right. Yeah. No. But I mean, I think I say, like I did it pretty well actually, because remember that about hour and a half break that I had that I told you guys about in between shows, evening shows. I usually went to go see her at that time, and that was our designated time of the day that I would spend with her. Obviously, it didn't happen every day, but that was pretty much that effort.
So, Connor, since graduating, what is one thing one big thing that you have either learned or one big way that you have seen yourself grow?
My independence, I would say.
How so?
When I moved down here, I didn't have a single friend. Outside of my family, I didn't know anyone. So at that time, I didn't even know Courtney when I just moved down here. There were times where it can get lonely. So, but I find that at least at that time, if you can work on yourself and just try to improve that part of you, you don't need to be dependent on other people to bring you happiness. Or I never really realized that until I left, like, all my friends. I left you guys. I didn't see you anymore. I didn't have anyone when I came down here, so I just kind of, and at first I struggled with that, man. Like, it was hard because I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't have anyone to hang out with. I couldn't just text, like, hey, you want to go see this movie? Like, it was just me. Like, I guess if I wanted to with my family, but I didn't really do that too much because, family's family. But I think just that dependence, I really learned from that, just to become more dependent in who I am. Like, I can go see a movie by myself and be fine.
Do you feel like you learned that moving down here from Pittsburgh?
No. Because I had Katie. So I never had to do that, like, literally. But I've thought about it, like, I think I had the time. The thing is, I would go out exploring and, like, see people and find people to hang out with, you know. So, yeah, no, I've never been like that. But I'm Latino. We do things in groups. But
Very true.
But I've definitely grown in my independence for sure. And I enjoy, like, there's one Saturday that I was just kind of out and about by myself all day without Katie, just because of circumstance, and it was fun. I was just kind of wandering around, didn't have much to do, and like, but yeah. And sometimes I'm like, I never envy it though, but I think it would have been fun, or would be fun to, like, I'm just gonna go watch a movie by myself, date night by myself, and it's dope.
Right.
But then I'm like, I don't know, it's just so much more fun with Katie.
So.
And I like it.
I'm glad you brought that up, just the culture difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a friend who lives in Brazil currently. And when I moved to Chicago, I was telling him, like, it was a very similar situation, Connor, to where you are or where you were. I was up there by myself, essentially. And I was telling him, like, I moved straight from this massive community to this place where I'm virtually by myself. And he was like, what? What are you doing? Like, that is such a huge, like, cultural difference. So to hear you say that, and I don't know, like, it's another question for David. Do you feel like you've, like, transitioned into the, like, American way of independence as opposed to having a family unit, or at least some type of unit around you at almost all times?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know, I like being independent, and so I think that I love, that I can, here it's so safe, and you can go out in your car and literally go anywhere, I could go to North Carolina and back in a day if I wanted to, and I don't know, it just feels like it's not that way down there. Everything takes more preparation, or there's such ease of things. You go to Walmart, buy something, pay for it. Like,
right.
And the self-checkout, you can do it by yourself. And, like, I've gotten so much quicker, too, just efficient. This isn't about me. This is about Connor, though.
All right. Let's wrap it up. And remember this. Before I ask, I want to let you know that this does not necessarily have to pertain to your work. It can also pertain to just your personal life. What is your definition of success, and how has it changed over, let's say, from the start of college?
Success now to me is just being happy, I think. And I guess it's a little bit more. It's being happy, and for me, it's tying it into the religion aspect, or to Jesus, spreading that word. That's, to me, that's success. If I can balance both of those things, I think that it doesn't matter how much money I make or where I am in life. I think that will make me happy. But to answer the second part of your question, I think before, when I was a student and doing all that, I think success was more of a film. I need to make it in film. I need to have a number one movie, in the world or in the box office. I need to have a script that wins an Oscar, but I think now that would obviously be cool. Who wouldn't want to win an award for what they did? But it just doesn't matter to me as much anymore, Like, I want to be happy, and I want to talk about God. I think that's really how I would define success.
Do you think that as it stands right now that you are successful?
I think I am. I think I have a lot further to go though. I can go further. Like I'm good now, but I'm not where I want to be. Which doesn't mean I'm not successful. You can still be successful and achieve more. So that's kind of what I think. I want to get further in real estate. I want to get further in film, and I definitely want to get further with God. So, there's more road for me to walk.
What is one word that you would give to describe this conversation?
I think fulfilling is how I would put it. Like, in a lot of different ways. You guys are some of my best friends, and getting to hear from you again and just talk with you about important things. I wasn't honestly expecting that. I thought you were gonna throw me some crazy zany questions about whatever. But there's a lot of deep meaningful topics that we hit. So, which is cool. I think I would sum it up with fulfilling.
Connor, thanks so much for your time.
Love you.
Thank you. I love you guys too.
For those listening at home, thank you for your time. I have been your first host, John Bowling.
And I am your second host, David Gomez.
And I'm your third host, Connor Worthy.
Connor Worthy.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Peace, guys.
At John B's table.
Goodbye.